All right, so get ready, because today we are going deep on some seriously mind-blowing ideas.
Oh, I love a good mind-blowing deep dive.
Yeah, and I think this one really delivers.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Hit me.
So we are diving into the work of Neville Goddard,
Oh, I like him.
and specifically his book, Infinite Potential.
Okay.
And fair warning, this might just change how you see, well, everything.
Ooh. Okay, lay it on me.
So Goddard, he had this radical idea.
Okay.
He believed that our consciousness is like the architect of our reality.
The architect.
Not just like a participant, but the actual architect.
So not just positive thinking then?
No, this is a whole other level.
Okay, I'm starting to see why you said this could change how I see the world.
Right. And this obviously kind of clashes with a lot of traditional views about, how reality works.
Yeah, especially those rooted in, like, traditional religion. How does Goddard handle that?
He pretty much flips the script on the whole idea of God.
Oh, how so?
So for Goddard, God isn't some external being up in the clouds. It's our very awareness of being.
Wait, so he's saying that I am moment, the simple act of knowing you exist.
That's the divine spark.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So it's not that there's no God, it's that
Yeah.
God is within us.
Exactly.
Okay, I can see how that would shake things up a bit.
But hold on. It gets even more interesting when you look at his take on the Bible.
Yeah, because a lot of people see that as like the literal word of God coming from outside of us.
Right. And Goddard completely reframes that.
Okay, how so?
He sees the whole Bible as this kind of psychological drama.
A drama?
Yeah, it's like a symbolic representation of what's happening inside each of us.
Interesting. So it's not so much about historical events, but about states of awareness that we all experience.
He sees it as this guide to understanding the potential of our own minds.
Okay, I can dig that.
So there's this example he uses, Moses.
Yeah.
When Moses says that whole "I am hath sent me unto you" thing,
Mm-hmm.
Goddard interprets that as Moses recognizing the power of his own consciousness.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, pretty wild, right? But here's the thing that I always get tripped up on.
What's that?
Okay. It's all well and good to talk about consciousness and the Bible and all that, but how does any of this actually play out in our everyday lives?
Oh, Goddard gets into the nitty-gritty of that.
How's he?
Big time. He believed that our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, all of it directly shapes our reality.
So we're talking more than just like good vibes attracting good things.
Way more. It's like the fundamental building blocks of our experience.
Okay, give me an example.
Okay, so say you're someone who's struggling with debt, right?
Uh-huh.
Or maybe you're dealing with an illness.
Right, yeah.
Instead of dwelling on the circumstances, feeling stuck in them,
Yeah.
Goddard says you got to shift your awareness, start feeling as if you are already free or healthy.
So it's not just wishful thinking. It's like actually embodying the feeling of the desired state.
Exactly. You're living it in your mind as if it's already real.
Wow. Okay. And he has a name for this, right?
He calls it persistent assumption.
Persistent assumption.
Yeah, there's this great story he tells in Infinite Potential about this advertising executive
Oh, yeah. I think I've heard of this one.
who learns about this principle from a speaker who, uses the simple demonstration
Okay.
with walnuts and beans.
Walnuts and beans.
Yeah, and the walnuts rise to the top, the beans sink to the bottom.
Right. So the walnuts are the successful people who rise to the top.
Right. And this executive, he decides he wants to become a walnut.
He did?
Yeah. He starts acting as if he's already the successful businessman he wants to be.
And
And he becomes incredibly successful, employed over 1,000 people.
okay, that's a pretty compelling example.
Right. It really makes you wonder.
Makes you wonder if we're all just kind of walking around underestimating ourselves.
Exactly.
Okay, but hold on. I gotta ask.
Sure.
If it's all about shifting our awareness, feeling the desired state,
Yeah.
does that mean we don't have to actually do anything?
That's where the power of action comes in. Goddard's not saying you can just wish for things and poof, they appear.
Right.
It's more about aligning your inner state with the outcome you want,
Okay, so I can't just imagine myself winning the lottery and expect it to happen.
Well, you can imagine it, but you probably still need to buy a ticket.
Right. Okay, so it's about taking action, but from a place of knowing, not just hoping.
Exactly.
That makes a lot more sense.
Right.
It's like you can't just imagine a garden and expect food to just show up.
You got to plant those seeds.
Nurture them.
And trust the process of growth.
Speaking of trust, there's this story in the book about a blind woman.
Oh, yeah. Such a powerful story.
Tell me about it.
Okay, so this woman is tired of relying on other people to get around, right?
Okay.
So she decides she's going to apply Goddard's principles to manifest a solution.
Manifest a solution for transportation.
Yes. So every night, she vividly imagines a friend congratulating her on having her own convenient transportation. And she really feels it, like the relief and the gratitude as if it's already happened.
So she's not just visualizing it, she's like living the experience in her mind.
Exactly. And the key here is that she doesn't try to force a specific solution.
Right.
She just focuses on the feeling of the end result.
Okay, so did she, like, magically regain her sight?
No, this isn't about physical sight coming back.
Good, because that would be a little too woo-woo for me.
I hear ya.
Even with all this talk of mind power.
Right, so here's what happens.
Okay.
She ends up writing a letter mentioning her desire for transportation to a guy who works with blind individuals.
Okay.
And this guy shares her story totally randomly at a bar.
It's at a bar.
Yeah. And get this, a random liquor salesman overhears the story.
No way.
And offers to drive her to work every day.
What are the chances?
Right. So problem solved, at least for getting to work.
Okay, but what about the ride home?
It gets even better.
Yeah.
The guy who originally got her letter, he's so touched by the salesman's generosity that he offers to drive her home every day.
No way.
Yeah.
So she manifested 2 rides.
And here's the kicker. When she first gets into the salesman's car, he says, "The pleasure is all mine."
Wait, are you serious?
I swear, the exact words she had imagined her friend saying.
Wow, that's crazy. It's like she literally scripted the whole thing.
Right, without even realizing it.
I'm starting to see how powerful this conscious creation thing can be.
It's pretty mind-blowing, right?
Okay, but before we get too carried away with all this manifesting,
Yeah.
I think it's important to, like, take a step back and look at another key aspect of Goddard's teachings.
Okay, what's that?
He had some pretty unique interpretations of biblical stories.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What was that one with the widow and the oil?
Ah, the widow and the 3 drops of oil.
What was that all about?
It's a metaphor, basically, focusing on abundance even when you feel like you're surrounded by lack.
Okay, remind me how the story goes.
So this widow, she's in debt, feels like she has nothing left.
Right, like completely destitute.
Then a prophet tells her to gather all these empty vessels
Uh-huh.
and pour the oil she has left, like 3 drops, into them.
And it miraculously multiplies to fill all the vessels, right?
Exactly. And Goddard, he sees this as a representation of how our consciousness works.
Okay, break that down for me.
So the widow, she symbolizes that feeling of not enough.
Those moments when we feel like we're lacking something.
Right. And those 3 drops of oil, that's like that tiny spark of faith.
That belief that we actually have something to work with.
Yes. And the act of pouring the oil into those empty vessels.
That's like taking that tiny spark and choosing to focus on abundance.
instead of getting stuck in the lack.
Okay, so the empty vessels, what are those?
They represent our willingness to receive, to be open to possibilities.
So, like, we all have these empty vessels just waiting to be filled.
Exactly. We just need to shift our mindset.
To allow the oil of abundance to flow in.
You got it.
That's a great analogy. It's like we've got this faucet that's always been there.
Oh, we didn't know how to use it.
Right. This is pretty mind-blowing stuff.
It is, right. And the really exciting part is that Goddard actually provides techniques to help us make that shift.
Techniques to shift our mindset and tap into that abundance.
Exactly.
Okay, I am so ready to hear more about these techniques.
Me too, but first, let's take a moment for all of this to really sink in, you know?
Good idea. Take a moment, listener, and really think about how all of this relates to your own experiences.
Because we're going to dive even deeper into Goddard's fascinating ideas when we come back.
All right, so while we were taking that break, I was thinking
Okay.
about this whole idea of tithing. Remember how Goddard had a unique take on that?
Oh, yeah. His interpretation of tithing is definitely not the usual one.
Yeah, it really threw me for a loop.
So for Goddard, it wasn't about giving away 10% of your income.
Right, it wasn't about money at all.
He saw true tithing as more about claiming the qualities you want to express in your life.
Wait, hold up. So instead of donating money, you're giving qualities.
Exactly.
Like, how does that even work?
Remember, for Goddard, it all comes back to consciousness.
Okay.
He believed our awareness as God. So when you consciously claim a quality like courage, creativity, or even wealth,
Yeah.
it's like you're giving that quality to the higher power within you.
Interesting.
And because consciousness is limitless, it comes back to you amplified.
Yeah. I'm trying to wrap my head around this.
It's like you're investing in the best version of yourself.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
You're aligning yourself with the qualities you want to embody.
But it's still kind of fuzzy for me. Can you give me like a concrete example?
Sure. Let's say you want to be more confident.
Okay.
Instead of focusing on your lack of confidence, you would shift your awareness to feeling as if you are confident.
So you act as if it's already true.
Exactly. You embody the feeling, act as if it's your reality.
And trust that it will manifest in your experiences.
Right. It's about aligning your inner state with the quality you want to express.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's not passive wishing, it's active cultivation.
All right, so you're not just sitting around hoping for confidence to magically appear.
Exactly.
You're taking steps to embody that confidence in your thoughts, feelings, and actions.
That's the key.
Okay, so that's tithing. But now I'm wondering, how do we put all of this into practice? Like, does Goddard give us any specific tools?
He does. One of the most powerful tools he talks about is a thought experiment.
A thought experiment.
You pick something you really desire, and then you create a scene in your imagination that implies it's already happened.
Okay, so it's like more than just daydreaming.
Way more. You're creating a vivid, multi-sensory experience.
Engaging all your senses.
Exactly. You want to feel the emotions as if it's really happening right now, not something you're hoping for in the future.
It's like method acting for your life.
You're stepping into the role of the person who already has what they want.
Okay, but if I'm being honest,
Yeah.
my logical mind is having a bit of a field day with all of this.
I hear that it can be a lot to take in.
It keeps saying, yeah, right, just imagine your way to success.
That's where faith comes in.
Faith.
Goddard has this cool analogy for it. He talks about faith as a mustard seed.
Oh, yeah, the mustard seed thing.
It's about that complete focus a mustard seed has on its potential to grow. There's no doubt, no hesitation.
So just
Yeah,
that's the kind of faith Goddard's talking about.
it's about fully immersing yourself in the feeling of your wish fulfilled, even if your logical mind is screaming, impossible.
Even if our senses tell us it's not real yet.
Exactly. It's about trusting the process, even when things haven't materialized yet.
Okay, but there's got to be more to it than just blind faith, right?
Yeah.
What about the practical steps we need to take?
Goddard addresses that too. He uses the biblical story of creation to illustrate this balance between effort and surrender.
The 6 days of work followed by the Sabbath.
That's the one.
Okay, tell me more about that.
So think of it like this. The 6 days of work represent your efforts to impress a new belief on your consciousness.
You're visualizing, feeling the wish fulfilled, taking action.
Right. And then comes the Sabbath.
What does that represent?
It's a state of mental rest where you cease striving and allow the manifestation to unfold naturally.
So it's like you plant the seed, you nurture it, but then you have to let go and trust it will grow.
Exactly. You can't keep digging it up to check on it.
It's about finding that balance between focused effort and allowing...
Doing, and being.
I can see how that applies to manifesting something like a new job or a healthier body.
Mm-hmm.
But what about things that seem out of our control, like world peace? Can I really use this to influence something that big?
Goddard emphasized that our imagination is always creating, whether we realize it or not.
Okay.
So if we're consumed by fear and worry, we're creating from a state of lack and limitation.
But if we focus on what we do want,
Peace, harmony, understanding.
we're adding our energy to that possibility.
Exactly. It's not about ignoring the problems. It's about consciously choosing to focus on the solution.
Even if it seems far off.
Right. You're choosing to water the seeds of peace instead of fertilizing the weeds of conflict.
That's a great way to put it.
And remember, this isn't about passivity. It's about aligning your inner state with the outcome you desire and then taking inspired action from that place of knowing.
This is starting to feel very empowering.
It is.
It's like we have this incredible power to shape our reality.
But we often don't realize it, or we're afraid to use it.
Okay, so we've talked about tithing qualities,
Right.
the thought experiment, the Sabbath analogy. It's a lot to process.
It is. Take a moment to think about what's resonating with you the most.
Yeah, what's sparking your curiosity?
And we'll be back soon to wrap up this deep dive into infinite potential.
Okay, so I've been thinking about all of this, and, it's funny.
What's that?
I'm starting to see the world differently
Yeah.
after talking about all of these Goddard ideas.
Yeah. How so?
Like, it feels less fixed, more like We actually have the power to shape things.
That's exactly what Goddard wanted us to see. He was all about waking up to that creative power we all have.
It's definitely a shift in perspective.
For sure.
So we've covered a lot: the power of imagination, feeling the wish fulfilled, that balance between effort and surrender. But there's still a part of me that's wondering, how do we actually tap into that level of awareness? Did Goddard himself have any personal experiences that kind of opened him up to all of this?
He did, actually. Goddard had some pretty profound mystical experiences that really informed his understanding of consciousness.
Mystical experiences.
Yeah, one he talks about a lot is this feeling of being born from above.
Born from above. Okay, so not like a literal birth.
No, more like a symbolic rebirth, a shift in consciousness.
I'm picturing a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly.
Perfect analogy.
So what did this rebirth feel like for him?
He described it as this feeling of emerging from the base of his skull, transcending the limits of his physical body.
Whoa, that's intense.
Right. He saw this as a representation of moving beyond the limitations of the material world, tapping into something much greater.
So it's like we all have this ability to access another dimension of reality through our imagination.
A dimension where anything is possible, where those limitations we perceive in the physical world just don't exist.
That's making me think about all the times I've limited myself because of what I thought was realistic or possible.
Right, maybe those limitations were all in your head.
Maybe. But hold on, Goddard didn't just have this one mystical experience, did he?
Nope, there was another one that really stuck with him.
Oh, what was it?
He had a vision of encountering David, the biblical figure.
David?
Yeah, but for Goddard, David wasn't just a historical figure. He was like this symbol of God's promise being fulfilled.
Okay, so what did this David guy look like in his vision?
He described him as this radiant being full of youth and vitality. And Goddard took this vision as confirmation that he was on the right track, that he was waking up to his own divine nature.
So it wasn't about worldly success or material possessions?
No, it was about realizing this deeper connection to something much bigger than himself.
Wow, that's beautiful, but also kind of intimidating.
How so?
If that's our true potential, where do we even begin to tap into it? It seems almost impossible.
Goddard believed the first step is understanding the power of our imagination.
Okay, so it's not just a tool for daydreaming. It's like the force that shapes our reality.
Exactly. It's about becoming more aware of the stories we're telling ourselves, the images we're holding in our minds.
It's like we're directing our own mental movies, but we're doing it unconsciously.
Exactly. And he reminds us that it's not about denying our negative thoughts or emotions.
Right, we can't just pretend everything's perfect.
It's about consciously choosing to focus on what we do want to experience.
So we're not suppressing the negative, we're just choosing to focus on the positive.
Right. It's about shining a light on the possibilities instead of dwelling in the shadows.
I like that. So how do we do that?
Well, one practical technique Goddard offers is what he calls revision.
Revision? What's that?
He suggests that we can actually rewrite our past experiences.
Rewrite our past. Hold on, are we talking about time travel here?
Not literally. It's not about changing the events that happened, but changing the meaning we attach to them.
Okay, so by changing how we perceive the past, we can change how it affects us in the present.
Exactly. It's about taking back your power from the past and using it to fuel your future.
So we can take a painful memory and reinterpret it, find the lesson in it, and use that to move forward.
That's the idea. You're no longer a victim of your past, you're the author of your story.
I love that. So we've got this incredible power to shape our reality, both by choosing our thoughts in the present and by reinterpreting our past.
And Goddard reminds us that the key to all of this is to feel as if our desires are already fulfilled.
So we're not just visualizing the outcome, we're actually feeling the emotions as if it's already happened.
Exactly. He often compared it to an actor getting into character.
Oh, I like that.
A great actor doesn't just think about the role, they embody it. They feel it as if it were real.
So we need to step into the role of the person we want to become, living the experience in our minds before it shows up in the physical world.
That's the key. And the best part is, you can use this technique for anything. Improving your relationships, achieving your goals, overcoming challenges.
Wow, what an incredible journey this deep dive into infinite potential has been.
It's been a wild ride, right?
So many mind-blowing ideas, from the power of consciousness to the importance of feeling, the balance between effort and surrender.
It's a lot to take in.
It is, but I'm feeling so inspired to start applying all of this.
Me too. And remember, the most important thing is to keep exploring, keep experimenting, and keep trusting in your own infinite potential.
Well said, listener. I hope you're feeling as empowered and inspired as I am.
Go out there and create the reality you desire.
Until next time, keep imagining, keep creating, and keep believing in the power of your own mind.